Greetings and welcome to my oral research proposal presentation, which is done in partial fulfillment of the requirements necessary to complete PLCY 805 at Liberty University in the Ph.D. in Public Administration program. I am Dwight Masali. Inflation has, as observed in the past 2 years, wreaked havoc on numerous lives in the United States and the world over. The effects are far-reaching, and study has shown these effects in different parts of the world. However, there is a gap in literature regarding the effects of inflation on a selected area of the United States exclusively. Also, the research method used for this study is one of its kind, and hence the need for the entire study itself. The research question, therefore, is how does inflation impact the livelihoods of low income earners in the city of St. Robert, Missouri? The dependent variable is the impact of inflation on low income earners in St. Robert, Missouri. It conforms with what Andrade 2021, Creswell 2017, King et al. 1994 mentioned about dependent variables, whereas dependent variables are values that are influenced by other variables. Furthermore, the dependent variable consists of the effect value of the research problem that relies on the independent variable. As you will see in subsequent points that I will make, the independent variables I will list are going to be tested against the dependent variable. The independent variables, therefore, are in threefold. The first one is printing of more money. I will be testing how the printing of more money in an economy influences or impacts inflation or causes inflation, which has second and third order effects on the people. The second fold is borrowing more money. How does borrowing more money impact or trigger inflation within an economy? Thirdly, the third independent variable is the circulation of more money, and this is consistent with the study in Osman et al. 2019 based on the classic economic theory, which denotes that the money supply and the increase in price levels over time cause inflation. I will be testing these variables to ascertain whether this theory is actually true or can be proved otherwise. Anticipated theoretical significance. The studies hope to contribute to the future of fiscal and monetary policy in the United States. It also seeks to confirm and deny the classic economic theory, as I just mentioned, as used in Osman et al. Hypothesis. There are two hypotheses for this study. The null hypothesis, which is H0, is inflation does not have an adverse impact on low-income earners when they remain employed. Now, having tested this in the future, I will either accept or reject the hypothesis based on the value I get from it. The alternate hypothesis, which is H1, is inflation has an adverse impact on low-income earners when they remain employed. Variable conceptualization and measurement. Goodman 1981 postulated the concepts are instruments for dealing with and mastering objects as much as visions of the future. Therefore, I will be using the chi-square test to show that there is a relationship between the high flow of money within an economy and inflation. Also considering the study conducted by Haas and Vaughan and Lomax 2013, who mentioned that the chi-square test of association and relationship is used to determine the link between two or more nominal or ordinal variables. I intend to prove just that. Data. The data for this study will be collected from numerous sources, which include but are not limited to scholarly research, including peer-reviewed articles and dissertations, databases to include U.S. Census Bureau and the City of St. Robert website, questionnaires, interviews, and focus group discussions. Observable implications. Based on classic economic theory, we it is safe to state, therefore, that an increase in x, that is the velocity of money, over a period causes an increase in y, which in this case is inflation. So the observable implication, as mentioned, is also similar to the findings in Doan Van 2020. Methods. As you may have already figured out, I'll be using the mixed method approach for this study, which entails a simultaneous use or study of quantitative and qualitative research methods. Creswell and Creswell actually spoke about, mentioned about this method, noting that the mixed methods approach to inquiry involves the use of quantitative and qualitative data, using both data and clear designs that potentially involve philosophical assumptions and theoretical framework. According to Morse 2003, a mixed methods approach entails the use of quantitative and qualitative data respectively. Morse, however, cautioned that in multi and mixed method designs, evidence of adhering to methodological assumptions for each method is essential. Morse's caution comes from a background of evaluators using quantitative parameters in the future to evaluate and determine whether research proposals that were meant to study qualitative approaches were due or were qualified for funding. Morse's point of view is that those parameters were not fair enough because it's just not right to measure the validity of a qualitative proposal using quantitative parameters, and Morse even suggested better ways of doing it. In addition to utilizing mixed methods for their intended purpose, which include one, to go beyond the limits of the quantitative approach, that is just not just dealing with numbers, but using the qualitative approach to tap into the lived experiences of low-income earners in St. Roberts. I get the best of both worlds, as I will digress later. Practical and policy implications. It is hoped that this study will influence the future of fiscal and monetary policy making, as well as contribute to academia in a way that shows future researchers that different countries may have different ways of handling fiscal and monetary affairs, but the effects or impacts on the population are almost similar, if not the same, in many ways. Strengths and weaknesses of the research. The biggest strength of this research is that it incorporates the best of both worlds, quantitative and qualitative research. As you may have been aware already, quantitative methods strictly deal with numbers and use of statistical functions to get answers, perform tests including chi-square tests, ANOVA, t-tests, etc., etc. But there's a limit to that. It doesn't give the full view of the respondent, and there comes in the use of the qualitative side of the study, which allows respondents to respond in their own words and share their lived experiences in regard to the research question. Nevertheless, several weaknesses have been identified, and contingencies have also been outlined to solve those weaknesses. Part of those weaknesses are, one may argue that using the mixed method approach would be biting more than I can chew. While this is valid to a certain extent, it is not entirely true, because getting the right people and the right amount to share information or data that can be tested both in quantitative aspects as well as analyzed in qualitative aspects becomes all encompassing and breaks the barrier of research limits for data collection. Other weaknesses will include language barriers, busy work schedules, fear of exposure of personally identifiable data, unwillingness to participate for free, and significant life-changing events and emergencies. Contingencies have been outlined, as I mentioned, and they include to solve the problem, for instance, of willingness to participate or unwillingness therein. I intend to provide incentives to participants that equates the hourly wage. Say, robot hourly wage ranges from 11 to $12. So getting an hour of their time and paying them for it as such will make them feel like they are not missing out or anything. Pending any questions and comments, criticisms, here concludes my oral dissertation proposal presentation, and I hope that you stay blessed, and I look forward to your comments, concerns, criticisms, and suggestions. God bless you.